What happens when the randomness of life moves you to an incredibly dark place overnight? After being misdiagnosed for 3 months, that resulted in a stroke, lung failure twice, heart failure, intubation for a month, and given a 20% chance to live, all of this after not so much as having a cold for close to 20 years, the randomness of life can be brutal. Not to mention that this occurred during one of the biggest opportunities in my career at the time. I had been preparing for a big launch on Home Shopping Network, a dream I had had for years, one that is incredibly difficult to crack. The timing could not have been more devastating. Just 5 years ago, this was my story. There are studies that show that our identities are shaped by our families. I am a product of immigrant parents from Jamaica. I grew up in a very strict background where education and the drive for excellence were paramount. The kind of household where I had school homework and extra homework courtesy of my dad. I also danced as a child and began touring internationally at the age of 9, traveling to Brazil, Italy, Sweden, etc., and studying the dances of other countries. I even continued this tradition by taking a class in Javanese dance while at Wesleyan. Always being driven by opportunity, I know that I'm preaching to the choir in this audience because many of you were drawn to this room because you found an opportunity to learn something new. Perhaps you're here to learn to become a better version of yourself within this highly accelerated, fast-paced world. Some of you are in this room because you may want to unlearn something, perhaps unlearning that challenges do not equate with failure, and that setbacks do not grant you the permission to quit. But when life throws you a curveball, such as what the pandemic did to all of us, to be forced into isolation or to experience a devastating loss that pushes you to reimagine the future, or a chronically ill loved one who relies on you when you have ever-growing new responsibilities, or, in my case, a rare health condition that happened at the rise of my business. Quitting may feel like the only option to survive, but it's not. Even though it may feel like it, it's not. 5 years ago, during the summer, I began to feel ill. I was feeling lethargic and very run down and had developed a bad cough. As an avid runner and exerciser, I guard my health and lifestyle vigilantly. Having not been sick in so long, not feeling well was so foreign. After multiple visits to the doctor, where I was losing my patience because I was deteriorating and no one had a clue what was wrong. After a frustrating month, I demanded a chest x-ray. You may ask, why did I say demand? I had suggested to my doctors that perhaps I had pneumonia. My doctor's response was, a person that has pneumonia does not look like you. We can explore that comment in another TED Talk, but lo and behold, I received the results from the x-ray and I did have pneumonia. Now I was feeling relieved because I assumed that the medication would work and I'd be better soon. Unfortunately, the meds made me feel worse and my health was aggressively declining. The cough became painful and I could barely leave the bed. I continued to see specialists with no answers. One day I woke up and stepped off the bed and could not walk. My left leg was in unbearable pain out of nowhere. At that point, I became my own doctor, researching my symptoms around the clock. I decided that perhaps I had blood clots. I arranged an appointment, and on that day, I felt my absolute worst, and I knew something was terribly wrong. The nurse tested the leg where there was no pain and found multiple clots. Then she tested the leg with pain and found nothing. I immediately checked myself into the emergency room. There are good doctors and there are great doctors. In the emergency room, I was handled by a tribe of stellar doctors. They focused on my leg, which was of great concern to them. They drew fluid, and within an hour, I had a room full of doctors with a diagnosis. I remember his words vividly. You have something very serious. We don't know what it is exactly, but we suspect a fungus, which means you have to be immediately quarantined until we can determine what type of fungus this is. Our hope is that when the culture comes back, we will know the diagnosis and hopefully we will have a medicine to treat it. Until then, we will treat it aggressively and broadly, like chemo, until the results are ready. Immediately, the medication began to take my organs one by one. first 100-degree fever, sepsis, hypothermia, stroke, lung failure twice, and heart failure. When the culture came back, it was determined that I had blastomycosis, which is a fungal pneumonia. Translation, had this been properly diagnosed, I would have taken medicine for 6 weeks, like one would for bacterial or viral pneumonia, to cure the infection. Once I started on the proper meds, slowly my body began to heal. Once released, I had a year-long recovery as my lungs and each organ made their way back to health. I'm happy to say a full recovery was made. 2 months after my release, I made my debut on HSN with my first innovation called Next, and the rest is history and is the catalyst for me being here in front of you today. Launching on HSN during the early stages of my recovery may sound crazy to some people, and it was definitely risky for sure. We're often taught that you have the choice to choose. Choose your personal circumstances or your professional life. Everyone does not have the option to choose. One of the most challenging aspects of being a self-made entrepreneur and mother is that often I don't get to choose between one life event and the other. One may get more attention than the other, but both must be addressed, and often simultaneously. The details of my story may differ from yours, but difficulties have no ally. Life's challenges will confront us at one point or the other. None of us can escape. But how we deal with it will undoubtedly shape your future each and every time. One thing we all have in common in this room is that we are all entrepreneurs of our personal lives. We must think of ourselves as investments, as businesses. Just as entrepreneurs want their businesses to grow, always thinking about how to achieve success, let's see how we can apply that energy and focus to what a successful life looks like for you within the context of your dreams and challenges. Therefore, I urge you to develop an entrepreneurial mindset so that you, your business, and your daily investment can endure difficult times. Business leaders know that in order to have longevity, they have to have staying power. My lawyer once said to me, "It's hard to kill strong people." Strong is a combination of physical, mental, and spiritual strength. While in the hospital, I kept pictures of my 2 children everywhere. The impact of my illness on my life remains immeasurable. I remember the fear in my children's eyes when they saw me hooked up to so many machines. The fear in their faces will never leave me. They kept me alive. Ironically, Rock Innovation was started because I needed to solve a problem for them. They are my why, personally and professionally. What is your why? We all have triggers that will make us Herculean. Unfortunately, we usually discover our why in the toughest of circumstances. If you adopt an entrepreneurial mindset, you can face your challenges more confidently and head on. Start with create a group of insulators. This group protects you at all costs. There is mutual respect and trust. You can turn to them for anything and they keep you sane, strong, and happy. They are your most important allies. They are more than an inner circle. They are your insulating circle, one for your personal life and one for your professional life. Second, select mentors and advisors for your personal life. We naturally seek mentors for our professional lives, but the wisdom and perspective of advisors regarding life's challenges are invaluable. The odds are they have had some form of experience with a similar problem. Select mentors that don't tell you what you want to hear. Tough love is good too. Third, pace yourself. This one is hard. We all want results as quickly as possible, but burnout is happening at record rates. We are not living in normal times, and it is prudent to reassess your pace. Over the past 2 years, many of us have had to make significant adjustments with our professional lives. And though it happened in a way that was out of our control, many would argue that there were incredible benefits that they could not have imagined 5 years ago, like being able to work from home. Fourth, your personal life deserves reassessing too. Sometimes our personal lives are on autopilot, which may not be the best course. It's worth tapping into and making sure that your plans are still aligned with your expectations and your goals are still relevant and sustainable. Fifth, Take time out for yourself. We take vacation from work, but do you take vacation from your personal life? Most of us find it hard to detach from both. Recharging is essential because it is directly related to your health, physically and mentally. Sixth, believe that more good happens in the world than bad. Avoid the traps that cause unnecessary anxiety. Seek people, places, and things that give you joy. Business leaders project positive body language and words to keep workers encouraged and inspired. Adopt this approach for daily living. And finally, the most important one, always be your own advocate. When you feel something is not right or even slightly off, whether it's your health, your education, your career, ask all of the stakeholders involved the proper questions to alleviate your worries. Do not be shy. In addition, share your insights you've gained relating to the situation. Your voice and advocacy will greatly influence the outcome of your future. Be committed to yourself and know that challenges and unforeseen moments will pass. There is a light in the dark place, but the brightness that emits will rely on your perseverance. It may not be easy to invest in yourself when the weight is heavy, but that investment will not go unnoticed. When you go through a near-death experience, you become a part of a small, lonely, yet special club. This particular group has unique insight in that we have witnessed inexplicable miracles and feel that grace every day. It's really special. 2 children, 1 in college, 1 headed to high school, a business started to find a solution for my children, landing 2 sharks for my business, a body that is fully recovered and feeling healthier than ever. I have learned to embody the business of resilience, and you can too.